So, once again, hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Today, we have a very special mentor with us. Before we commence, you guys know the drill as well. We'll be waiting for another 30 seconds for more participants to join in. Till then, grab some snacks, put in your earphones if you're driving, and we'll be getting started in the next 30 seconds. So, once again, hello and welcome, everybody. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today. And also, thank you to the ones who are going to be watching this in the recorded format. As always, we are super glad to have you all with us. And today we have none other than Mr. Sajrai himself. He is going to be discussing why every enterprise needs a CISA on their team. So, the importance of the certification, the study guide, what to do, how to approach it, and all the tips and tricks he's going to be sharing with all of us in this session today. So, without further ado, Sasa, please take on.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction. Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Saj Rai, and I'm thrilled to have you all here for this live session. The topic is why every enterprise today are actively seeking a CISA certified professionals. So, whether you're in IT, audit, risk management, or compliance, understanding the value of CISA can be a career game changer. So, welcome everyone. Brief introduction. My name is Saj. I have over 2.5 decades of experience, and I've been teaching and training for over a decade now. I'm an authorized instructor for most cybersecurity courses, including the CISA from Osaka. So, the agenda for today. Well, here's the agenda for today. So we'll unpack how CISA aligns with the modern enterprise goals, not just an IT or just not an audit credential or a certificate, but as a strategic enabler for governance, risk, and compliance. And I'll also try to share some real-world applications and kind of opportunities CISA unlocks globally. So here are the various topics we'll try to cover here. Okay. Let's start with the first one. And also importantly, why the context as to why is this very important today? Yeah, so organizations today operate in a very dynamic risk environment. There are several regulations. I think most countries have their own regulations, including the GDPR or HIPAA, and there are ISOs or PCI DSS, and many other requirements, which are not optional. They are business critical. So, amid all this digital transformation, enterprise or AI or enterprises needs professional who can bridge all these technology risk and compliance, and that's where exactly a CISA fits. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the CISA, which is Certified Information Systems Auditor. Now, as a certificate on the course, CISA has been around for more than 50 years, the gold standard when it comes to the auditor knowledge and certificate. And and so this is the global recognized credential by ISACA. It's recognized across the globe, right? We have people from all across the world who are certified over the last 50, 60 years now. Um, but remember that this course is not just for auditors. It's for professionals who evaluate, manage, and protect the enterprise information systems across various industries. Again, nothing specific to any particular industry. It's any organization that has information systems, and I think every organization has today nowadays running information systems. So all of them need an assurance from a certified CISA professional. So here are some of the areas that we focus on. As I mentioned, information systems auditing, okay, to provide assurances. Governance and management of IT plays an extremely important role. IS acquisition, development, and implementation. Okay. Operations, maintenance, and service management, and protection of information assets. In fact, these are the 5 domains from CISA course. I'll talk about this again later on, more in detail. Okay. Now, traditional audits used to focus on ticking boxes, check box. Do we have this? Check, 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 right? Um, but auditors' role have gone beyond just checking boxes. It's become more strategic, and I'll talk about how organizations are relying on CISA to ensure they are meeting their goals and objectives. Okay, so CISA nowadays is focused. They perform strategic IT audits that align with the business strategy. They translate the audit findings into actionable governance and process improvements. So that's what we need to understand here. So as a CISA, you are identifying control weaknesses as early as possible, enabling continuous assurance to the enterprise and stakeholders within the enterprise and outside the enterprises, and also link audit findings to business objectives. Well, at the end of the day, we want to ensure that the business is able to meet its goals and objectives, and everybody's relying on the auditors, both internally as well as externally, to ensure that we are in the right directions. Right? And an important aspect of that is to understand um, from the risk perspective. And so, in order to ensure that as organization is able to meet its goals, able to meet its objectives, we want to make sure that we are mitigating the risks, we're managing the risk, and obviously everybody in the organization plays the role. Is not just the auditor, but auditor plays an important role in the risk management. I'll just talk about it in a bit. And as auditors, the hallmark of a CISA is their risk first mindset. As I mentioned, we need to ensure that the risk for the organizations are within the acceptable levels. Okay, and so as auditors, we're counting on the auditors to assess not only what is wrong, but how it impacts the business goals. Right? So this risk-centric lens helps the enterprise make informed, data-driven decisions. This is a very popular model. This is called the three lines of defense. I just want you to have a basic understanding here. Let me see if I can highlight here. So there are three lines of defense, if you can see here. The first line, the second line, the third line of defense. The first line of defense, we kind of so with these three lines of defense, we understand the roles and responsibilities for managing the risk and maintaining the effective controls within the organization. The first line, as you can see here, is the operational management. Okay, they are the ones, the business, the ones who own and manage the risk on a day-to-day basis. They will implement the controls. They will measure the controls, ensure that the compliance is embedded into the business processes. So all the business process, they are the ones who are managing the risk. So think about a bank. Okay, so there's a let's say many different processes within a bank, or be specific to let's say personal loan. So the business running that personal loan, they are the owners, and they will manage the risk on a day-to-day basis. So, for example, they might be checking the credits. They might be looking at the person's bank details, background, and so on to determine whether they are credit worthy. So that's the first line of defense, and they manage their own risk. The second line of defense is the risk and compliance functions. And so they are specialists. They're specialists within the organization. They are the ones who provide an oversight and guidance about the risk. Okay? So the roles typically are your risk management functions, security, compliance, quality, finance, and so on. So they are the ones who are implementing, let's say, the risk management control. All right, the supporting the first line of defense. The first line of defense, obviously, they are not risk experts. So the second line will guide them, support them, ensure uh, and ensure and challenge them if needed. Right. And the question is, where does an auditor come into the picture here? And the answer is this is where the auditors come in, the internal audit function. And so while the first line and second line are doing the job, the third line provides an independent assurance about what the first line and second line are doing. Are they doing the job properly? Right? And so they evaluate the effectiveness of both the first line and the second line of controls. Okay. And as you can see, they are reporting directly to the management and especially to the governing body at the very top, the audit committee, or you can even have the board of directors here, depending on the organizational structures. So in a way, you can think that the management, the board, now they're relying on this independent report coming from the auditor. Okay, the independent assurance of the governing body and the audit committee. So auditors here, you can think of them as the eyes and ears for the board, because the board obviously cannot be looking into these things directly. So they're counting on the auditors. You have to ensure that the first line and the second line of in this particular structure, are they effective? Are they efficient? Are they doing the jobs? Are the risks within the acceptable levels? So they're counting on the internal auditors for this. Right? So you have a lot of responsibility as an auditor because everybody's counting on you, like I said. Right? So this is a very interesting model. Many organizations follow this, especially banks follow this, and your organization knowingly or unknowingly maybe having this structure as well. So this model ensures there are no blind spots in the governance. So as CISA, as you can see, you play an important, extremely important role here. Whether you formally follow these three lines of defense or not, as an auditor, everybody's counting on you for these assurances. Okay, not a guarantee, but an assurance. So, as a CISA professional, so understanding and auditing each line is critical. Right? So it helps determine whether controls are designed well, is it operating effectively, and more importantly, is it producing the desired goals, desired outcomes, which is typically whether the risk is within the acceptable levels. Okay, so as you can see, sum it up, the as a CISA professional, you play a vital role across all these three lines, ensuring that the risk, compliance, and assurance functions work cohesively to safeguard the enterprise values. And and so we also have external auditors. So sometimes you may play a role of an external auditor. In that case, the external stakeholders like the regulators, the customers, business partners, now they are relying on you as an external auditor to determine the effectiveness of the internal organization. So while the internal audits, um, it's for the internal stakeholders, external audit for the external stakeholders. So whichever role that you play, the the knowledge that you need to have, the skills that you need to have is the same, but the stakeholders counting on you could be different in terms of internal or external auditors. Okay, and the CISA obviously doesn't matter which role that you play, internal audit or external audit. You need to have the same knowledge and the same certification, right? So this is an important, I think, um, important model. Just be aware of it. Yeah. So understand that compliance doesn't necessarily mean checking boxes and uh, especially during that audit. Okay. So many organizations just think about being this audit coming up and making sure that we are meeting those checklists. So just trying to be compliant to pass that audit. Um, Security goes beyond that. Okay, security has to ensure that, like I said, it's about not just checking that boxes, but ensuring that the controls are actually really working for you, and and ensuring that there are no issues in terms of if your controls are not adequate, that there could be security breaches. You're not going to be compliant with various laws and regulations. You're not going to be effective or efficient, and so on. And as an organization, while you may think about, okay, just being compliant just enough right before the audit time is good enough, the answer is no. The answer is no. You need to ensure that if you really want to do well as an organization, uh, we just go beyond just being just enough. Okay, we want to make sure that we're actually effective and efficient, and we're not just thinking from the passing the audit kind of a thing, right? Audit report. So for the regulator, so you want to make sure that your controls are actually effective and efficient. Um, and so as a CISA, you're looking at holistically over the organization to make sure that, okay, is there a way that we can improve the processes or improve the controls or or make it more efficient or whatever it is, whatever the scope for you is, you can contribute much more to help the organization. So one of course, like I said, is to make sure that you're compliant. Okay, just enough you can do that, but 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 security goes beyond just being compliant, right? Um, you should be able to perform that. You should be audit ready throughout the year, not just once in a year. Right? Strengthen governance maturity, and like I said, ensuring that we are secured all throughout the year, not just during the audit period. Right. So from banks to tech startups, having a CISA on board brings structure and credibility to how the risks are being managed. Okay. So it signals to the regulators, to your partners, to your customers, which are typically external entities, that governance and integrity are taken seriously within the organization. So that's important. But like I said, auditors are not just for the external body; it should be for the internal assurances as well, especially for the board. Right? Are we on the right direction? So board members would have given direction saying, "We need to do this. We need to do that." But it shouldn't come as a surprise at the end of the year that we are way off our targets, right? Because our processes were not good enough, our controls were not sufficient. So it shouldn't come as a surprise at the end of the year that we have not met those targets. So the internal auditors will regularly audit various areas to ensure that we are in the right direction and that we are in the way to achieving those goals and objectives. Okay, so important to have that stakeholder confidence, and as I stakeholder within and external to the organization, ensuring that we have strong IT governance across the organization, streamlined audits, and just so not just focusing on once in a year audit, should be regular audits throughout the year that we should be audit ready anytime, right? Anytime. Enhanced data protection, absolutely critical for any organization. Yeah. So as a CISA professional, well, there are lots of opportunities. It just isn't just a credential; it's a passport to various leadership roles, as you can see here, from IT auditor to even CISO positions. I've taught a lot of CISOs or chief risk officers the CISA course, and I asked them, "You're not an auditor. Why do you want to, as a CISA, why do you want to, take the CISA course?" And they want to, and the answer that I get is that I want to understand how the auditors think, because at the end of the day, it's important to understand that auditors are not your enemies, right? It just think about audit, IT management, IT security, and audit as two sides of the same coin, and we are all together. We are here all together to support the business meet its goals and objectives. So, understanding how the CISO, so how a CISA thinks helps the CISO become better managers. Anyway, so these are some of the roles. This is not an exhaustive list, but anybody who's in risk, compliances, governance, and so they can all benefit by having the CISA credentials. So when it comes to the exam, there are five domains. Exam duration is 4 hours. There are 150 multiple choice questions. It's a slightly advanced course. I must tell you, this is one of the more difficult courses. And compared to all the ISACA courses, I think CISA is the most difficult, one of the most difficult. If you've taken a CISSP, I would say that the difficulty level is somewhat very similar in terms of what the CISSP is. The detail in CISA is much more. It's much more detailed even compared to what a CISSP is. So one of the more difficult exam, but it really tests your knowledge, your so which means that when you pass the exam, you're going to be in the elite group of CISA professionals who have taken that, uh, have done that hard work. So you have the which proves that you have the knowledge, the experience, the determination to become a CISA. Okay. So you need at least 5 years of experience. If you're an IS auditor, fantastic, or any other security experience would suffice. You don't have to have an IS auditor's experience. You don't have to be have a role of IS auditor. Okay, but if you're into security, even in the first line or the second line of defense that I've mentioned, you can certainly take the CISA exam. Like I mentioned, many of the CISOs that I've taught, they were not necessarily having a role of an ICE auditor, but since they were managing and assessing the controls themselves, so they certainly qualified to become an ICE auditor. There are substitution allowed for related education. If you don't have that 5 years of experience, you can at least substitute with 1 year of experience. Those details are on the official website. You can check it out. But yes, this is not a beginner's course. This is certainly, I wouldn't recommend this for any beginner. If you're a beginner, I would recommend more foundational courses like Security Plus, where you learn the foundations of knowledge. Okay, foundational knowledge. But CISA is a slightly advanced course. Okay. And so and there are the expectations is you have that experience in IS information security in whatever role that you play. So here we're not going to be discussing very foundational topics. We're just going to be building on those foundational knowledge you probably already have. Preparation will take time and a lot of hard work. There's no shortcut. There are no dumps. Um, and what I can do is, as a mentor, as a trainer, I can help you build that launch pad. Okay, so we'll go through all those 5 domains. I'll tell you what's more important, what are the mindset you need to have as a auditor, uh, how to solve those questions, and then you'll need to then prepare those 5 domains in that could take you 12 to 16 weeks, or sometimes even more, and a lot of hard work. So again, if you cannot put in that everyday effort, couple of hours every day, you cannot put in that. If you do not have that time, I wouldn't recommend taking CISA because it will require you to dedicate your time every day, couple of hours at least. The more, the better, and you will certainly not be ready to take the exam at the end of the training. Very, very unlikely. I've never come across anybody who's maybe once in my career, once, and that person was extremely experienced, and he just wanted the validation, and he was the only person that said, "Okay, go and take the exam tomorrow." But it's very unlikely. You'll have to have that preparation. You need that. You'll need that self study. These are the 5 domains. So it's a very interesting. Just take you through this. Hang on. The first one, information systems auditing process. So many people who come to take CISA, they're either I place them in 3 buckets generally. The first bucket is people who um, come from an audit background, right? So they may be a CAA, financial audits, not an ICE audit, but purely auditing background. So for them, this particular domain might be a lot more familiar because you were talking about the auditing processes, the concept like sampling and all the stuff, which is quite familiar. Because the concept is the same. Right? Here we focus mostly on the auditing concepts. Then, the second group is people who are very technical. They've been doing technical stuff, and now they want to become auditors, so they do not have any audit knowledge. So this might be, in that case, this is going to be slightly new for them. And the third category who are already IS auditors, and for them, all the domains will be familiar, right? So depending on who you are, um, so you could be purely audit or purely technical, or you're already an IS auditor. So this one, I guess, for if you're already if you're an auditor, then this will be very familiar with you. It's not a very difficult domain though. Governance and management of IT. Most of you who've not been in governance and management, you'll find this slightly different. You may not have heard about the topics that I just talked about, like this three lines of defense and all this stuff. So you need to understand what is governance, what is management, what kind of role does an auditor play. Okay, so like I said, ensuring that the business is the priority, and the ICE information security is supporting the business meet its goals and objectives. And the third domain, information systems acquisition, development, and implementation. It's slightly a technical domain. Information systems operations and business resilience. This is for those who are managing operations like incidents and business continuity, disaster recovery. And finally, domain five, protection of slightly technical, a lot of technical things like encryptions and many other technical like cloud and virtualization and many all these topics are discussed here. And again, like you said, if you do not have that foundational knowledge, you might struggle at least in domain five, especially in domain five. Anyways, that's these are the domains. It covers a wide range of topics. The questions are in depth. Questions are a little tricky as well, um, which obviously I'll try to help you understand these things. Right. So the exam. So exam rewards conceptual clarity over rote learning. If you start to rote learn, you're not gonna pass the exam. So it's about understanding a concept and then be able to use that in various scenarios. Okay? So memorization, hardly anything. Hardly you have to memorize anything. You have to understand the concept, and I call them the thumb rules, the principles, the thumb rules that you need to be able to learn. And most of the questions is is going to be focused on either the what to do, but more importantly, why. Okay, most importantly, the why. And many times, all the answers, there are four options, and all the four options are correct. All the four options are correct, and your job is to find the best answer. And that's where it gets a little more difficult. These advanced exams. So the foundational exam, you know exactly that what the because they just focus on one correct answer. You can look at the option and know that this is the correct answer because there's only one correct answer. But in this case, like in a CISA, there are all the most of the time all the options are correct, or more than one options are correct. Okay? Usually, at least two options are going to be correct. Okay, many times all the four options are correct. But you need to figure out which is the most important, and that's where the deep understanding is needed. Deep understanding of the concept, the principles are needed. So that's what I'll probably help you understand during the training sessions. So and I want you to build your study plan around the domains you work with daily. For instance, operations, IT governance, or risk management. Okay, and we'll have enough practice scenario questions so that you're familiar with what to expect during the course. And we have the forums, the study groups, the WhatsApp groups you can join, and there are other discussion forums also which you can benefit from. Okay, official forums from Osaka, you can join those. Okay. Yeah, here's a scenario, and in one of the engagement I was part of, a financial institution was on the verge of a multi-million dollar compliance fine. And a CISA-led audit caught gaps in the change management and vendor access. So within weeks, the remediation saved both compliance, reputation, and the client trust. So you can imagine the kind of impact the CISA brought into that particular scenario. They could have lost $1 million of fine otherwise. Well, what's the future? Just want to quickly talk about it. So there's going to be an increasing demand in AI, cloud governance, or there are more regulations coming up. Most organizations, most countries, they have their own they have their own regulatory requirements. So the future of CISA is not just as an auditor. Okay, so you are a risk advisor, a business enabler, everybody counting on you, whether you are internally the board members, the management, or externally the regulators, the customers, the business partners counting on you, right? So with all of these AI and cloud and digital transformation accelerating, the CISO role is evolving into a strategic leadership pillar. And that's what I want you to think when you are joining this course. You're not a technical, some person who's just looking at the checklist. You are a business enabler. You got to think from the business perspective, and that change in mindset is extremely important, which I start teaching from day one. Right? I just want to quickly touch upon the AI thing. So, with the AI age now that we're in, okay, the role of a CISA becomes even more relevant today. So, as you know, AI is transforming the enterprises from finance to security to HR, customer experience, and so on. And so it's important that the CISA brings in that assurance, the governance, and trust to any AI-driven ecosystems. Okay. Um, and so as a CISA certified person, you will assess, you will assure these intelligent systems. They ensure governance keep pace with innovation. So the role of a auditor here, uh, governance alignment. Okay, to begin with. So you want to make sure that any AI that you're bringing in is aligned to the business goals and the risk appetites. And there are multiple rules, multiple risks. Obviously, we need to understand that, right? We want to make sure that we have the controls in place. What if somebody's like uploading sensitive, sensitive code, a sensitive company document into, let's say, a chat GPT or something else? So that's a big problem, right? Big problem, because those documents can be accessed by someone else now. Accountability and oversight, so defining rules for developers, users, and management for the organization. Lifecycle assurance. So if you're developing some kind of AI models or implementing the AI models, how are we doing that? Do we have the right process, okay, the policies in place? Regulatory readiness, so compliance with any AI governance and privacy laws. And this is going to come up in most organizations and most countries now. Okay, so um, yeah, so as I mentioned, in this age of AI, auditors are not just number checkers or they're trust enablers. Let me say that you are a trust enabler, right? So you will assess whether the AI systems have proper oversight, whether outputs can be trusted, and whether regulatory obligations are being met. Okay. So the key to explain, reproduce, and justify what the AI just decided. And and we talk about AI taking away jobs everywhere, and that's obviously going to happen. But the one job that they cannot take away is the auditor's role, because auditors are going to be auditing the AI. Okay, and the principles are not very different. The principles that you learn in CISA or as an auditor, that doesn't change. So, so in tomorrow's enterprise, CISA won't just audit; they will govern the intelligence, and they'll help design ethical AI frameworks, establish auditability, and ensure systems act within the policy and law. Okay. So the future belongs to those who can make AI accountable, and that's exactly what CISA professionals are trained to do. Okay. Yeah. So I guess we're coming to the end of our session. So yeah. So understand why enterprise can't do without CISAs, as I mentioned, and this is going to get, like I said, the CISA role is going to get more and more important now. And the CISA bridges the gap between the technical terms and the executive boards. As I mentioned, you are the eyes and ears for the board members, the management. They're counting on you. So they ensure that technology decisions align with the enterprise risk posture and the regulatory expectations. Okay. Absolutely critical. Right. What else? Yeah. So I guess we this is the final slide. So yeah. So thank you for joining today's session. So if you're ready to elevate your career, well, CISA is definitely the course for you. Okay. Um, and as I just give you a brief about why CISA is needed, I haven't explained to you the process and so on. You can, so I would, if you're ready, then learn about the CISA journey. Okay. Register for the upcoming CISA course. I think next week we're starting that up. Okay. So, like I said, thank you for joining, um, and so together we'll build a smarter, more resilient enterprise as a CISA. So, thank you very much. And any questions, I would be happy to take it.
Hi, sir. Thank you so much. That was an awesome session. Great. So,
Appreciate it.
perfect, perfect. So, we do have one question. So, Devashish from LinkedIn has written in, and he's asking what technical skills employers expect beyond CISA for advisory roles.
What technical skills employees expect beyond CISA for advisory roles? Okay. Interesting question. Thank you, the wishes. Um, so, as you saw that three lines of defense that I showed it you, right? Um, you're going to be questioning, evaluating what the first line are doing, or the technical people are doing, right? The second line of the technical people, the first line of the business people. Um, so you're going to be asking them, questioning them, ensuring that they're doing the job properly, and maybe even supporting them, helping them, being the mentor, teaching them, and so on. So they're counting on you to for all of these things. So you really need to be an expert. Like if you are to mentor somebody, if you need to be able to question somebody, you need to be above them in terms of knowledge, in terms of the expertise, right? Whatever whatever expertise that you will have. Now, I don't expect an auditor to be an expert in everything. Like suppose, for example, you may not be an expert on cloud, all right, or you may not be an expert on, let's say, forensics and so on, and that's okay, and that's perfectly fine. But the point is that so the organization is counting on you for these things. So depending on what kind of technology that the organization is using, if they're using the cloud, then certainly they will expect you to have that technical knowledge about the cloud to be able to ask questions, ensure that what the first line and second line are doing, that is actually correct, and there are no issues with that. Okay, so depending on that, so as a role of a Caesar, you are constantly learning, constantly evolving. I don't expect you to have knowledge in all the fields to begin with, but you will certainly start growing and building on that knowledge. And so the technical skills that you build to is depends on the organization's requirement, what the organization is doing. For example, an organization only works on, let's say, a Linux environment. Okay, so you need to have that knowledge on Linux to be able to determine what they are doing. And it's a combination of, and when I say security controls, it's not just technical, right? As auditor, you're not just evaluating the technical thing. So you're evaluating information systems, and information systems consist of the technology, which is your hardware, the software, of course, right? And that's only one aspect of it. You're also going to be evaluating people. You're going to be interviewing them, and so on, and also processes, like looking at the documents, the policies, procedures, ensuring like controls such as SODs in place. You're going to be evaluating SLAs, contracts. So a wide range of knowledge you need to have. And it's not just the technical controls, you also be evaluating the administrative operational controls, as well as, surprisingly, even physical controls, right? You may not be aware of it, but you need to learn about physical controls, such as, let's say, our security guards, the CCTV cameras, or, or the exit entry, what kind of controls we have. So you need to have a wide range of knowledge. Again, it all depends on the scope, what the organization says that you need to do, but the CISA teaches you all of these things, and you're ready for all of these things. Okay, so just it's not just only about the technical skills, which is important, but you're going to be an all-rounder to handle all controls, not just technical controls, but even physical controls and administrative controls. Well, I hope that answers the question. If you have any follow-up question, please let me know.
Perfect, perfect, sir. So I have a follow-up on Devashish's question. So are there any specific frameworks, tools, or methodologies that the CISA professionals should be able to master beyond just the CISA curriculum? What would you recommend? What would you suggest in terms of tools, methodologies, frameworks?
Yes, absolutely. The CISA doesn't go into any specific frameworks and any specific tools, and for very good reason, because there are so many out there. Okay, so, but which tool to use, which framework to use? Now, you have to understand that there is no one answer. And that's what Caesar, as a Caesar, you will learn that there's no single solution that you can apply and, put and patch, copy paste. You can't do that. You
Right,
have to understand. You have to understand what is the business requirement. Maybe the business requires you to be compliant with GDPR. Maybe the business requires you to be compliant with PCI DSS. The business wants to implement ISO 27002, or whatever that need is. So you will support the business's decision. You will evaluate if the business is deciding or having those controls effectively. So the answer is definitely yes. You'll definitely have to know those controls or frameworks. It could be a NIST risk management framework, ISO risk management framework. That's something else. I don't know. It depends on the business requirement.
all right, sir. So Devashish has another question. He's thanking you for answering the previous one. He's saying also sampling of data is a crucial aspect of any auditor's role. So do we
Yeah.
need any analytics to learn and practice, or the audit tools normally take care of it?
Again, that's a very good question, the wishes. So, Caesar teaches you the what. Caesar teaches you the why. but it doesn't teach you the how, right? We don't talk about in CISA, of course. We don't, like a just previous question. We don't CISA doesn't teach you about a particular framework or a particular tool. Okay? Um, and so, in that sense, uh, you will use any tool that is relevant for you, and it could be a simple Excel sheet. Many people start with that, or there could be some specialized tools that your organization is using. So, or even in the context of sampling, okay, you want to be able to sample the data. So we learn about what is sampling, what are the different types of sampling, but the course doesn't teach you how to sample. Okay, so how is not really part of this course, because there are so many different ways of doing these things. It depends on the organization and so on. So that's why I guess you can supplement the CISA course with some of these other particular other trainings, like an ISO or lead auditor training could certainly help you with that. Um, yeah, but the CISA doesn't get into those details about how to use tools and how to sample, how to do analytics, uh, rather than focuses on the what and the why. Okay? But yes, you certainly need those audit tools. It could be a simple Excel sheet, it could be a some kind of power tool, or any other specialized tools. We briefly talk about these things in the course. We need to be aware that these tools exist, but we don't learn about any specific tools.
Right, right. Thanks for answering that, sir. Tejas is also writing in from LinkedIn. He's asking
Okay.
if someone is transitioning from security operations to GRC role, which primary skills they need to focus on.
Uh, okay. So from security operations. So security operations, if you're in security operations, then you probably would assume you'll have the knowledge on the IT, already IT and security, and some bit of processes, which I think is a good skills to have. And as I mentioned, the CISA covers a wide range of needs to have a wide range of knowledge. So um, and so in that sense, um, the knowledge that you already have, we can build on that now, because now you need to think from operations, because operations from that to the managerial and the governance responsibility. So slightly different, but it will certainly help you, because now from at the operation level, which you're doing it every day, you are, let's say, patching the system, you are doing you are monitoring the network and whatnot. But now what you need to understand is from the why are we doing that? Okay, how does it relate to the organization? What my patching a system, okay, or monitoring that's network, how's that supporting my business goals and objectives? It's not very difficult to transition to that, because now you know what it is, right? You know what is patching. I don't have to explain what is patching. I don't have to explain to you what is vulnerability, let's say, management, vulnerability assessment, because but as GRC, now you need to see that from the uh, governance perspective, as to how is that these tasks supporting the business goals and objectives. So the transition isn't going to be very difficult, I think.
Great. So someone coming from security operations would also be eligible to go for the CISA certification.
Absolutely. So one of the domain for CISA is the operations part of it. So all these ECP, DRP, incident management, patching, configuration management, all of those things are absolutely critical to supporting the business. And as an auditor, you will be reviewing these things, right? So maybe at the moment you're doing these things, but now as an auditor, you will come and see how the others are doing it and make sure that they're doing it properly.
Perfect, perfect. Thanks for that, sir. Devashish is also thanking you. Great. Guys, so we'll wait another 30 seconds in case any more questions are there. Please drop them in the comment section, either on YouTube or on LinkedIn, and Mr. Sazrai will be answering them. So, yeah, so let's wait for another 30 seconds in case there is a lag.
Sure, sure. Of course.
Are you playing us music in the background? Some waiting music. All right, sir. So I do not see any more queries. Oh, yeah, there it is. So we have another audience member writing from LinkedIn. He's saying
Mhm.
lots of people say you need to be a CPA to be an auditor. What's your thought?
Not really. I don't think you have to be, but depends on what kind of auditor are you looking at. So your CPA, it's more of a financial auditor. As I explained, somebody coming from a financial auditor may have some knowledge about the auditing processes and so on, but may not be, you know, may not be uh, have that knowledge, technical and security knowledge, right? So if you're looking for the financial auditor role, then maybe yes. But if you're talking about CISA in the IT or IS auditor, then you do not need that at all. Okay, you do not need that. So it's the course would be much more easier for a person coming from a technical background to learn the auditing concepts and processes. It's much more easier than a person coming from a audit financial audit background. Learning the technology and security is a little more difficult. Okay. So you don't need to have the all these certified public accountants. That's not needed.
Great. Although we have seen a lot of CPAs switching over to CISAs and switching over to information security.
Absolutely, absolutely. They must. I think they should do that. This switch for them is a little more difficult because they have to kind of start from the foundation security knowledge. Yeah.
Right. All right. So in case there aren't any more questions, so I am flashing the numbers on the screen. Please feel free to reach out to Protect Academy and let's get you started on your CISA certification success journey with Mr. Sajrai. His live classes will be starting from the 2nd of November, and these are morning sessions, Indian Standard Time, and of course on the weekends only. So all you working professionals will be able to manage your personal educational endeavors and also your professional lives. So please feel free to reach out to us. The batch is scheduled to go off on time, and we'll be looking forward to helping you and helping you get started. Thank you so much, Sasa, for joining us today. As always, you've been wonderful, very patient, and it's always a delight to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me here, and hope to see all of you next week. Take care. Bye.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.